Black Scully on, check. Got a little Jordan t-shirt on, check. Welcome to another marvelous episode. This was a long weekend, man. My boy Moon said it earlier. Shout out to my boy CFB Moon, and shout out to his show World of Moon. They really deep dive, and he really deep dives college football over there. I still can't believe some of the stories he was giving y'all on that show. It's just crazy. He was talking about the swag, did a deep dive for every team in the swag. I mean, he was talking about Abilene, Christian, Missouri State joining the FBS ranks. So shout out to him, shout out to everything he's doing, and shout out to CFB Nation. Let's get into today's topics, docket, however we want to say it. We are going to talk about ESPN Top 25 college football. They released their post-spring Top 25. Everybody is releasing their post-spring Top 25. And it's kind of cool to kind of see where college football is at. Just a few years ago, I ain't really see a lot of people doing it. So it's cool to see this is what people are doing now. Also on today's docket, we're going to get into some of the best traditions in college football. There's quite a few that every time I see it, it gives me chills. And there's quite a few I also need to see in person, but there's been some I've experienced in person. And those ones I experienced in person were life-altering. We'll just say that. And also, we're going to get into this college football playoff expansion. They've been looking at their 16-team format, and we kind of got the format and the gist of what that 16-team format would look like. But we're going to also examine closely and look at the last college football playoff ranking of 2024 season and kind of see what a 16-team playoff would look like. Governor of College Football, hashtag go CFB. CFB Nation, your only college football destination. Let's get it. Governor of College Football, we're going to recap ACC.
Hey, that's CJ
defensive
on
minds.
that.
They have to be better on that side of it. It is May 12th, such a beautiful day to talk college football. We are in high gear, to be honest with you. This is something that I've been wanting to do for a very long time, and I think I made quite a few excuses of why I couldn't do it, whether it was relationships, whether it's job, and my job is definitely demanding. Anybody who knows kind of where I work at, I am the general manager where I work at, and it's a 24/7 job, but no more excuses. I'm giving you guys live shows 4 days a week. And I was going to do 3 in the off season. I said, why not? 4. It's kind of depressing on Thursdays when I go off air. I'm like, damn, I ain't going live for another 4 days. But it is what it is. So let's get into the news. We're going to examine this ESPN Top 25. And it should really be fun. Like I said, you guys already know that I've done my top 25 already. Moon did a top 25. I was watching Josh Pate college football show yesterday. I seen his top 20. I like that he did the top 20 because I'm not gonna lie, those last 5 teams in the top 25 is really difficult. So I truly like that Pate did a top 20, and that may be something that I try to take next year. I do a top 20, but that could probably be difficult too at the same time. I don't know. 25 is rough. I'll just say that. We'll just say 25 is rough. So let's look into this ESPN post-spring top 25 rankings. At number 25, they had Oklahoma, who was also in my top 25. At 24, they had Ole Miss. I think me and ESPN was kind of similar here. I think I had Ole Miss at like 22. Not really knowing what to expect. They did lose a myriad of players this past season, whether it was via the draft or via the portal or via graduation. Texas A&M was at 23. Texas A&M was one of those teams I struggled with putting in my top 25 because I didn't know how far along they were. Yes, they have an amazing running back core. It'd be interesting to see how Marcel Reed grows in Colin Klein's system this upcoming year. I didn't really know what to do with Texas A&M. Mike Elko, like I said, I'm part of ACC media, so of course I've talked to a lot of people down in Durham. They hated the way that he left Durham. So, like I said, I was weird with Texas A&M, and it's sad because it was just a game outside of really making the SEC championship, but that's neither here nor there. At 22, they had Louisville. I was excited to see Louisville in this top 25. I don't know what other people's metrics are when they do their top 25. Is it based off of what they saw last season? Is there any predictive measures or metrics in it as well? Because the way I look at it, okay, where's your team now post spring? Are you guys on schedule, ahead of schedule, or are you behind schedule? And then I'm going to look at your actual schedule for this upcoming regular season and kind of see where you're at there as well, because that matters to me. Like, how's your schedule looking? What are some games I can look at your schedule and pinpoint that could probably be a victory? That could probably be a victory. This could be a tough game, but if they can pull this game out now, we're talking. And I use some of those predictive metrics. You know, that's the reason why I had Illinois ranked at number 10, or why I'm so high on Louisville. I had Louisville at 15, and I kind of felt like I lowballed them by putting them at 15 because I am all in on Louisville this year. I truly think there's going to be an ACC championship. Clemson will be in it. Louisville will be in it. Watch out for Louisville. They got, 8 home games this upcoming year, only 5 games on the road. You know how marvelous their schedule was. 21 Miami. I think I had Miami a little bit higher. Really don't know what they expect out of them this year. Michigan at 20, I think is fitting. I seen Michigan at 20 in ESPN's list. I was like, maybe I was a little bit high on Michigan. So I was just interested in seeing. I wish I knew more background info. Like, who did they poll for this? Like, you know, is Bill Connolly heavily involved with this? You guys know how I feel about Bill Connolly and what he does with the SP Plus and all of the different metrics that he used. I know college football isn't as metric based to the masses, but to the people who are nerdy when it comes to college football like me, they really do care about that type of stuff. So I appreciate what he does. So I wonder, like, was this a panel thing or just, you know, a bunch of people like kind of voting on who were the top 25 teams, and this was the total sum of it? I just want to know how they got to this. Number 19, Florida. Florida was another team I was weird on, because you look at last year, they had one of the toughest schedules that we've seen in the better part of a decade, and you know, Billy Napier was like, I'm still alive, and he is. 18, Kansas State. It's about right around when I had them. Indiana, I think they're higher on Indiana than I am, but you know, I still rock with Kirk Cignetti and company, but they're just higher than I am. Texas Tech, 16, about around where I had them. SMU did not make my top 25, and I'm sure the Mustang faithful is probably upset about that, but I just don't think they can repeat that success that they had last year. And if they do, they'll shut me the hell up. Iowa State at 14, I really like that. I believe I had Iowa State at 12 or 13, and it might have been 12. South Carolina at 13, not bad. Arizona State at 12, also not bad. They kind of flip-flop where I was with Iowa State and Arizona State. But, you know, in the Big 12, you get a lot of moving pieces year in and year out. It just is what it is. The Big 12, you never know who's going to be really good. The conference is always for the taking, in my opinion. Illinois at 11, I love. Illinois is another team. I like what they did last year. I believe a lot in Luke Altmaier. It'll be interesting to see what they do this upcoming season, but I like them at 11. BYU at 10. BYU didn't make my top 25, and it's not because they weren't a damn good team. They embarrassed some teams last year. Like, what they did to Colorado was a physical beatdown. What they did to Kansas State was a physical beat down. If you looked at their team and the way that they played, that physical style of ball, they really looked like an SEC team last year. Alabama at 9. I think a lot of people are starting to buy into what Kalen DeBoer is building in Tuscaloosa. I like it. Oregon at 8. I like Oregon at 8. I like it a lot. I know how successful they've been. I know Dan Lanning is 34-5 since he's been in Eugene. He's won a lot of ball games, and you can't hate on that. Notre Dame at 7. Hey, listen, we all, you know, continue to say, you know, well, Notre Dame got this problem, Notre Dame got that problem. Do we believe in Marcus Freeman? I'm telling you, like, you know, no matter who playing quarterback, they got arguably the best running back tandem in the nation, so I get it. LSU at number 6. I'm high on Garrett Nussmeier. Y'all know that. He's my favorite to win the Heisman right now. So LSU at 6, with the offense that they got, they may be the funnest team to use on College Football 25 offensively. And then they got a few dogs defensively. LSU, I can see it. Ohio State at 5. Listen, Ohio State fans, I know y'all probably feel disrespected. Like, damn, we just won a national championship. Like, Ryan Day finally got that monkey off his back. Like, man, show us some respect. Why y'all so low on this? I don't think people low on y'all because y'all roster isn't talented or we don't believe in the pipeline. You guys lost one hell of a defensive coordinator in Jim Knowles this year, and he was kind of sour with the way, you know, the contract situation worked out. And when James Franklin and Penn State reached out and said, hey, man, we going to pay you. If you don't want your, you know, coach dancing all in the videos, come here to Happy Valley. Like, that's how I felt like, you know what I'm saying, people feel about Ohio State. So not only was it the losing of Jim Knowles, they also lost Chip Kelly, who went to the NFL. And then you look at this quarterback battle that should have been over. Let's be honest. All of us thought that Julian Sand, well, probably other than, you know, Lincoln Conhost and his family, of course, and, you know, his supporters. But, most of us thought that, this would be Julian Sand's job, bada bing, bada boom. We keep it moving. It is what it is. Like, I feel like a lot of us just felt that way, right? I don't know. Lincoln Conho's got a chance to win this job. And the last time we seen quarterback competition in Columbus, it wasn't good. It wasn't good at all. Like, it almost bled into the regular season. It was bad. So I think that's why a lot of people kind of like Ohio State. We know you're talented. We know you guys put a lot of players into the NFL. Just put 14 via the draft this past year. We know you're good, but we just unsure. That's all it is. Like, don't take it the wrong way. Georgia Bulldogs at number 4. I did see Pate was kind of low on Georgia Bulldogs, but the teams that you are closely affiliated with, I think you're the hardest on. Like, I'm very hard on Virginia Tech. Really pissed off with them last year. Still not over it, but I'll get over it. Y'all know how it is. Texas at number 3. Interesting move. Clemson, I didn't know as many people was high on Clemson as they were. Like, I know we were at CFB Nation. More specifically, I know Moon was extremely high on Clemson. This is like early January. He's talking crazy Clemson hype. And then I think a lot of people started to buy in, like, okay, this Clemson thing is real. So seeing them at 2 is satisfying, especially with a program we have so much access to. Clemson shows us a lot of love, so shout out to them. And then Penn State number 1. I've seen Penn State number 1 in quite a few post-spring college football. I want to say Joe Klatt had Penn State at number 1. There was somebody else who had Penn State at number 1 as well. Was it Andy Staples? Andy Staples might have had Penn State number 1 too. I have to double check that, but seeing Penn State number 1, I think a lot of people are saying, hey, this backfield arguably, up to what you think, the best running back room in the country. Drew Aller, growing in that system with Andy Kolonicki. They able to get the that they got in the transfer portal, and like a Trevor Pena. It'll be interesting to see what happens with Penn State. So that was the ESPN top 25. I like it. Not bad. I typically don't like a lot of what they do, but it wasn't bad at all. So some transfer portal activity. We see Georgia and LSU have secured top talent from the group of 5, trying to bolster their rosters this upcoming season. We're starting to see more of those jumps. We're starting to see that like the FCS jump to like the G5 and sometimes P4, and then we're seeing a lot of that G5 jump from G5 to P4. So it's just interesting seeing that. Kansas head coach Lance Leopold has called for clearer NCAA transfer rules. At this point, we need a commissioner, and that commissioner needs a cabinet, and he needs a governing body so these things can be handled. We know how we feel about reform. We've reformed out, honestly. We've been talking about reform every off season. Everybody knows we need it, but not everybody has a solution on how we can fix it. Something that is tangible. Not just saying, oh, we need to fix it. Well, let's have clear-cut ideas that can fix it, and then give us the cause and effect for, alrighty, if we do decide to move this way, what are some of the hurdles we may need to clear if we decide to do this? But yes, we all know we need reform. We need it. Everybody knows it, but we do need some hurdles to clear. We need specifics. We need specific things that are going to tell us step by step, well, how we're going to handle this situation, that situation. If this rule is broken, then that. If that rule is broken, then this. Like, we need those type of specifics. That's 100% what we need. South Carolina is projected to make the college football playoff. I've been seeing a lot of that. I've been seeing South Carolina high on a lot of people boards as far as their post-spring, top 25. So that's, I don't know, it's kind of dope. This is our Into the News segment. Let's go ahead and get right into this governor ruling segment. I'm so happy to be here. I'm so happy to talk college football today. You guys have no clue. So let's get into our governor ruling segment. College football playoff expansion. Is this a money grab, or would it be better for the sport? That's the $1 million question I have to ask each and every one of you. Expansion, once you go from 4 to 12, they skip 6, they skip 8. I remember us talking a few years ago, and we was like, yo, would 6 or 8 be dope for the college football playoff? Like, really, would it seriously be dope? And they just went right from 4 to 12. And 12 in this inaugural season, yes, there were some things we did not like initially about the 12. We kind of hated the auto bids. We kind of didn't like how Oregon, their prize for being the number 1 overall seed was a trip against Ohio State, a team that was frustrated because they lost to Michigan again. And we didn't like kind of how Penn State kind of had the easier road. They didn't win it all, but they did have an easier road. So there were some things we didn't like in the inaugural season. But I think I saw more people talking about college football this past season than ever before. And I would have to say that 12-team playoff giving them the kind of that NFL feel with more teams having opportunities and chances to make the college football playoff. It made it a lot more tangible. Like the G5 before, you know how hard it was for them to make the playoff? You know what Cincinnati had to do for 2 seasons in order to make the playoff? So that's where we at. So this 16-team playoff thing is real. And I am more optimistic about this than I was initially about the 12. I think the thing that makes college football so great is its regular season. And I want regular season games to matter because they matter. Like the room for error in college football is very slim. Like, you know, you can go 10-2 and not make the college football playoff. Like that's how slim the error is. You have to win the majority of your games. It's not like the NFL. We've seen teams in bad conferences with, 500 records or even losing records make the playoff. That just won't happen in college football because there's such a small room for error. It's really small. Like, you gotta almost be perfect. So my initial pushback with the 12-team playoff is would those regular season games matter? And yeah, and it kind of mattered more if we're being honest, with the fact that, with the 14 playoff, you would look at it about maybe like 12 or 13 teams. You could say, okay, these 12 or 13 teams has a possibility of making the playoff at the beginning of the season. And if you really deep dove, it was probably like 7 or 8 legitimate teams had a chance to make that college football playoff. With 12 teams, I think you widen the gap. I think you got about 24, 25 teams, maybe 26 realistically feel like, we have a shot. And probably a host of G5 teams is probably what makes it higher. We have a legitimate shot to go to the college football playoff. So I am more optimistic about the expansion from 12 to 16 than I was about 4 to 12 because I needed to see that college football regular season still mattered and that pursuit of perfection still mattered, and it does matter. So what does this format look like? Let's talk about it. So now they're talking about automatic bids for each conference. Shout out to Greg Saney and Tony Petitti. They just continue to say, hey, we run things. So what it would look like is the SEC, Southeastern Conference, will get 4 automatic qualifiers. Really good for their conference. And when you think about, I'll get to it a little bit later, when you think about it, it can be crazy what they end up getting in the playoff. Big Ten gets 4 automatic qualifiers as well. Like I said, that's why I like Tony Petitti so much. Like, mob boss, you got 2 back-to-back national championships, in Michigan and Ohio State. Still cool with Greg Sankey. That's his dog. That's why I rock with Tony Petitti. ACC gets 2 automatic qualifiers. Big 12 gets 2 automatic qualifiers. Group of 5 gets 1 automatic qualifier, and that's the highest ranked conference champion. And then there'll be 3 at-large bids, and those 3 spots will be allocated by the highest ranked remaining teams. So I think that's kind of cool that is specified. It's not the committee, kind of picked sort of a deal. It's like, all right, those highest 3 ranked teams will be in. So that's what the 16-team bracket will look like. 4 SEC teams guaranteed, 4 Big 10 teams guaranteed, 2 ACC teams, 2 Big 12 teams, that 1 group of 5 team, and 3 spots allocated to the highest rank for the at-large bid. So, SEC and Big 10 are greedy. They're thinking, well, hey, if we can get our 4 automatic and plus like 2 more, somebody else can have that 1 spot. Then the ACC and Big 12 is like, well, that's a way we can get in the 3rd team. It's through those at-large bids. So this allocation model, often referred to the 4-4-2-2, 1+3 format, emphasizes the dominance of the SEC and Big 10, granting them a combined total of 8 automatic bids. The ACC and Big 12 received 2, as we already talked about, and the group of 5 has a guaranteed spot. So there'll be, with this new format, the first round buys are eliminated. Remember how last year the top 4 teams had a bye? They was just ready to play in whatever bowl game they were kind of assigned to. That's how it worked last year. With the updated expansion proposal, and this isn't happening until 2026, so it will, for sure, this upcoming season be 12. If we do get to 16, the earliest I think we will see it is in 2026. So every team will have to compete that first round, and I think that'll be madness. Think about that scheduling. I think that scheduling falls a little bit before wild card weekend, but that scheduling for that week will be crazy. Then they're talking about season-ending playing games, and the proposal includes season-ending interleague playing games. For example, the third-place team will face the sixth-place team, and the fourth-place team will face the fifth-place team. Team within each conference, winners of those matchups secure playoff berths, adding excitement and revenue-generating opportunities. That's kind of cool for the playing games. I think Joe Klatt was one of the first people I actually heard talk about, hey, have playing games for those. So it's working for the NBA. It's worked for the NBA for the last, I think it's third season or fourth season of the playing game. So the fact that it'll be a playing game, I think they'll have to add an additional week to the season, but that wouldn't be bad at all. And that'd be kind of cool to see that in the Big Ten and the SEC more specifically. Now I don't know if the ACC and the Big 12 will consider something like that, like a season and then play-in for that second spot, with the first spot being guaranteed. That will be interesting. So now let's kind of look at this in an overarching theme kind of way. We know the format. We kind of get the format, but I think we can better visualize the format if we use this based on Week 15, 2024 college football playoff rankings. So let's look at this a little bit of an overarching thing way. Oregon was 1, 13-0. Georgia was 2, 11-2. And this is after conference championships. Boise State 3 at 12-1. Arizona State was 4 at 11-2. Texas was 5 at 11-2. Penn State was 6 at 11-2. Notre Dame was 7 at 11-1. 8 Ohio State was 10-2. 9 Tennessee 10-2. SMU at number 10 at 11-2. Indiana at number 11 at 11-1. Miami 10-2. At 12-13 was Clemson at 10-3. Iowa State was 14 at 10-2. Ole Miss was 15 at 9-3. And then Alabama was 16 at 9-3. So that means that South Carolina would have just missed the cut. This is based on the Week 15 rankings of the college football playoff. So let's continue further. So these is what the first round matchups will look like. Some of this is crazy, but some of these matchups are not bad. Week 1, Oregon versus Alabama. And I'm not sure if these are home games. I don't remember reading whether these were home games or these will end up being bowl games. But it'd be kind of cool if the first round was like those home games again. So it'll be interesting to see Alabama having to travel to Eugene to play Oregon. Also, that week we will have Ole Miss playing Georgia. It will be a rematch because remember, Ole Miss beat Georgia in the regular season. That'll be interesting. The Iowa State versus Boise State would have been a really interesting game as well, if we're being honest. So it's a couple interesting matchups here, and I'm not certain who would have won that one. Then we would have had Arizona State. Clemson would have had to travel to Arizona State to play them. Texas versus Miami. I'm not sure if that's a game a lot of people would have wanted to see. If we're being honest, is that a game a lot of people would have wanted to see? Texas versus Miami. 6 would have been Penn State versus Indiana. That would probably been a decent game. Notre Dame versus SMU is not a game I'm sure I wanted to see. And then, ironically, Ohio State and Tennessee still would have played. So those would have been, based on the 2024 rankings, those would have been the games. I'm going to repeat them again. Oregon versus Alabama. Georgia versus Ole Miss. Boise State versus Iowa State. Arizona State versus Clemson. Texas versus Miami. Penn State versus Indiana. Notre Dame versus SMU. Ohio State versus Tennessee. How are we feeling about those matchups? Do you think this playoff kind of, in the earlier games in the college football playoff, everybody was kind of talking about the lopsidedness of the games. With this 16-team format, do we still get a lot of lopsided games? I'm not sure. Alabama going into Eugene and the way Alabama played its last few games, like especially that game against Michigan, I'm not sure we would have wanted to see that. Georgia, Ole Miss, I would have paid to see that again because it was a really good game in the regular season. For Ole Miss, that is. And Georgia trying to get their payback at home in Athens would have been interesting. I really like the Boise State and Iowa State matchup. I'm not sure we get a lot of blowouts here. Arizona State and Clemson would have been a really good game. I truly think it would have been a really good game. Texas versus Miami might have been one side. It depends. Because Miami could put up points last year. Cam Ward would have came motivated and focused. Penn State versus Indiana. Not sure. Indiana kind of laid an egg against Notre Dame. Penn State was a really good defense this past season as well. It'd probably been a better game than Penn State and SMU. SMU and Notre Dame, I'm not sure how great of a game that had been. I think Notre Dame would have outmuscled them. And then we remember the Ohio State and Tennessee game. So would have games been as lopsided? Let me know how you guys are feeling in the comment section about this. I'm not sure. Like I I do feel more optimistic about the 16-team playoff than I felt about the 12-team playoff. I'm just being honest. I'm just more optimistic about it. I think it will be great for, college football. Like, one of its number one jobs for all of these schools and all these players is to make money. We know this is business. We're in the business of making money. I think if they can get the right group of team in, we can get 8 really great matchups. The scheduling will probably be a nightmare. If we're being honest, I think the scheduling will be rough if we're being honest. But that's my take on the 16-team playoff. Like I said, I'm a lot more optimistic about it than I was before. We are going to pay some bills and take an ad break. We'll be right back. Look at you out here using all these other sports books and you ain't even using the best one. BetUS. Get 125% match bonus when you use the promo code CFB Nation. Yeah, you heard me correctly. 125% match bonus on your first deposit using that code CFB Nation. We know that college football is in the off season, even though we don't celebrate that. CFB Nation, we do college football 24/7. But there are plenty of things for you guys to bet on.
Who will have the most wins? OKC Thunder or Cleveland Cavaliers? Can Luka and LeBron make it all mesh to make it to the play-in tournament? Maybe you're a college basketball guy ready to risk it all for Florida to make it to the big dance.
Basketball isn't for you? Maybe you're a football guy. Well, BetUS got you covered with this year's UEFA Championship. Can Liverpool or Barcelona win it all? Will Erling Haaland or Harry Kane lead their teams to victory?
May is going to get popping when the Kentucky Derby hits town. BetUS has you covered in that way too, with all major horse racing events. Point is, type in that promo code CFB Nation and go get that money.
Shout out to our sponsors, BetUS. Get a 125% match bonus on your first deposit using that code CFB Nation. Alrighty, so let's get into this greatest college football tradition segment. I'm excited for this. I'm excited to talk about some of the best traditions in the sport. I'm going to omit Penn State's whiteout because I just think that one is just hard to beat. When you look at a tradition, you look at that late Saturday night game and that stadium and how raucous that environment is, we're going to omit Penn State. Penn State probably would have been number one on this list. Yeah, probably would have been number one on this list. But I want to talk about some that are just as notable and then some that are probably lesser known. So we're gonna get right into it. So, the first one that I have on my list is jump around. That's Wisconsin's one at the end of every third quarter. I love that. I remember going through COVID, and I've told this story before, and I'll tell it again. And I remember things just not feeling normal, even during a 2020 college football season, a COVID shortened season. Things did not feel normal. It was weird watching a game that is such a tradition-based game, such a, pageantry game. Like, there's things when you watch college football, and especially if you're there in the stadiums, just things that you look for. And seeing those players playing in those stadiums that did not have fans it was hard to watch. It was very difficult to watch. Of course, I still watched it because I love college football. But things did not feel normal. Things didn't feel normal at all. And I remember 2021, I think this was week 1 of 2021, we had a game in Madison, Wisconsin, and Penn State traveled to Madison to take on Wisconsin. And I remember watching the game. I remember how amped up that crowd was in Madison. And it was just such a treat to be able to watch that game, watch those fans, as my dog wants to make an appearance, as he does every episode. It was just so dope to see that game. And I remember at the end of the third quarter, I just truly remember how dope. I remember how dope it was at the end of the third quarter, and just seeing the sights and the sounds of this game and watching them do jump around, and the chills I got watching it. I became teary-eyed watching it because it was like, yo, it feels normal again. Like, I don't think people really realize what COVID did to our mindsets, man. So to see jump around 2021 Penn State, it was a damn good game too. Penn State at Wisconsin. It truly, like I said, I experienced every emotion in such a short period of time. Like it was instant, gratification, instant happiness. to like tears of joy to chills. Like I said, I feel like I experienced every emotion during that time period. So Jump Around will always be high on my list. Probably always be number one on my list. Not because of that moment, just because it's something I look forward to. If I'm watching a Wisconsin game into the third quarter, we all looking forward to it. And like this clip right here, you see Oregon players like amp to it too. So it'll show you that these players just get just as hype as well. So Jump Around is number one on my list for sure. Definitely. Like, and this is omitting, like I said, whiteout. The whiteout game is just hard to beat. It's just hard to beat. So we omitting that one. My second favorite is actually something that hits home as well, and it's that Iowa Hawkeye wave. Like the fact that they wave into the children's hospital, and you know the kids can see it. Them kids are fighting for their lives in that children's hospital, and at the end of every first quarter, seeing those players do that. The fact that EA Sports was able to get it in the game last year was crazy. So this is my second favorite tradition, for sure. It's the Hawkeye wave. It's something that I've never been to Iowa City. I've never been to a game there. I know my boy D now has been to a myriad of games. He's seen a game from the field. We need to make it up there. I do need to make it up there. That's one of those things I want to see. I want to experience. And I just want to be there and allow those emotions to happen. It's been a lot of times we don't really allow our emotions to happen. And the only way we get comfortable with that is sports, bro. I promise you, that's the only way we get comfortable with our emotions is sports, man. Like, I'm not an NC State fan, right? But my favorite 30 for 30 is Survive and Advance. Every time I watch it, I get teary-eyed. I think about my father. My father's an NC State fan. And I just think about a team that was such a severe underdog, going against the Phi Slamma Jamma and, being able to pull out that game and that verbiage, survive and advance. So like I said, sports allows us to be emotional in a way. That's kind of the only thing that will allow us, like when your team win a championship or something like that. But and also in other ways, like with this Hawkeye wave. So this is a tradition that I will watch for forever. I love it, and this is something I gotta see in person. Hey Moon, make it happen, man. I gotta go to Iowa City. I gotta see this in person for sure. Coming up at number 3, this is one I've experienced in person. I talked about 2 that I've seen from the television, and I can feel those emotions through the television. This next tradition I'm about to talk about is something I experienced in person. It's euphoric. It's so euphoric. It's like a drug. You know how they say, people who use drugs, they tell you one time is too much, 100 times is never enough. I made a trip to Lane Stadium, bro, in Blacksburg, and I got to see Enter Sandman in person. It's crazy, bro. I'm telling you, it's crazy. It is worth the price of admission. I'm telling you, it's worth the price of admission. Seeing this, the stadium is shaking. We're on the field, and on the field, it feels like a miniature earthquake. And shout out to Metallica, because they was just there in Lane Stadium, and I heard that it kind of registered a miniature earthquake in that area. So that's crazy that it was able to do that. But if you ever get a chance, they have a nice tailgating set up too out there. But if you ever get a chance to go to one of these games and see this in person, it's crazy. Especially if it's for a big game, like the stadium is shaking. It's like a drug that you never had before in your life, but you want to go do it again. So I can't wait to make it out each and every year. I can't wait to go to Lane Stadium and experience that. So that's number 3 on my best traditions list. Truly am a huge fan of that one. Coming up at number 4 on my list, we got Play Like a Champion today. That's one of the classic ones. Play Like a Champion. Notre Dame, players walk out, and that's kind of one of my earliest childhood memories of college football is seeing players walk out and tap that Play Like a Champion sign. That's like one of those early introductory things. If you start watching college football, start learning more about, college football traditions and college football pageantries. That's one of the things you learn about early, like Play Like a Champion today. I really like that. I actually need to get that one on my wall somewhere. I got a lot of college memorabilia in here, but I do need to get that on my wall somewhere. Another one that I've been able to experience in person is Howard's Rock and the Hill, Clemson. It's crazy. It's crazy. And I'm going to tell you, it's scary too. It's real scary. And they warn media. they will warn you. Like, get out of the way, you're going to get ran over. that is that crazy. So I can't wait for the Battle of Death Valley. We will be there. LSU versus Clemson in Clemson, South Carolina. I can't wait for that. So this is something I've seen in person. It's crazy. That stadium is rocking. I've been to a spring game at Clemson and the stadium was packed. Like, them fans do football and they will talk football with you and they will test your football knowledge for sure. So I can't wait to go see that one. Another one that made my list, and I probably should have grabbed video for this, is a tailgate called the Grove by Ole Miss. It's something that is well known down there in Oxford, Mississippi. I feel like just Southerners just know how to show you a good time, man. They're just hospitable. The food, you're going to always get you some good eats when you're down there. So that definitely made the list. And something that's probably should have been higher on the list is the Ohio State's marching band, the Dotting of the I. That's another one that's extremely, extremely really good. Something I haven't experienced in person yet. I want to experience that soon. But another one of those things when I'm watching on television, I'm like, that's cool. Like, I ain't never been the type of dude to play instruments or nothing like that. But it'd be cool to be in a band and get the Dot the I for Ohio State. Coming in at number 8, I got the Tiger Walk for both Auburn and LSU. Rich traditions. I mean, a lot of those SEC traditions, I got to make it down to LSU. I haven't been there yet. I haven't been to a lot of SEC schools as far as, like, I've seen a lot of SEC games, like when they were in other conferences, and I'm there and I'm watching them, but I haven't experienced, like, true, like, everybody say LSU got the loudest crowd. Everybody says that, so I got to experience that for myself. So either if it's via credential or I purchase my own damn ticket, I got to go down there. Sooner Schooner, of course, Oklahoma, that had to be on it. Shout out to my boy Boomer, man. Shout out to my boy Jerry Gray. They know football. They talk a lot of football. I remember in the early days of CFB Nation when we was first formulating this and kind of trying to really shape this into what we wanted this brand to be. I remember one of the earliest fan bases that showed love to us was Oklahoma. And I'm talking about truly showed love to us. Nebraska showed a lot of love to us as well. They also showed some hate, but Nebraska fans is crazy. But Oklahoma fans always showed love, bro. Always. So I got to make it down to Norman as well to see a game down there. And I would love to see that Sooner Schooner tradition as well. Army versus Navy. I know a lot of people kind of omit that week of college football. They don't care about it, but as a person who has been to a lot of Navy games, I haven't been to any Army games, but I know my boy D-Now has been to this game. I know Nino has been to this game. And the coverage that this game gets, the respect that it gets, it's one of those traditions that should never stop. They should never not have their own week of college football. They're that deserving of it. And it's definitely one of those traditions that we need to keep. Mr. Brightside, Michigan, is also on this list. This is something that the Buffalo Bills started doing recently, too. I don't know what's up with it, but it's that song, Mr. Brightside. They start singing that joint. Everybody singing it, to the top of their lungs. They screaming the lyrics, got their beers and all of that. So, of course, Michigan had to make this list. What are some of your traditions that I may omitted or I may didn't talk about in this episode? But yeah, college football, it's the traditions, it's the pageantry, it's the reason why we watch the sport. It's kind of that story within the story. Like, you go to an NFL game, maybe loud, maybe crazy. You go to Philly, you might get punched in your face. But you know what I'm saying? But these traditions in college football is what makes this sport so rich. So every year, I'll continue to do these. And hopefully I can start making them to more of those so I can see them in person and give you guys an accurate depiction of who are some of the best ones in the country. Let me know, like I said, in the comment section if you feel like I forgot one. I don't think I omitted any. Of course, I omitted Penn State, but that one is just one of the best. But like I say, that jump around for Wisconsin, definitely my personal favorite. And we have such a great relationship with Wisconsin. I'm almost embarrassed to say I haven't been there yet because they have welcomed us with open arms. They really have. So we're going to make it to Madison. I think Moon has it on his schedule for week 1 or week 2. So we'll make it out there. I think it's week 1. I know we got week 0, week 1, or week 2 planned out. One of those weeks we will be in Madison. And I can't wait to see that at the end of the third quarter. I'm going to be acting like a fool on the field. I promise you I will. I can't wait to see that. Oh, man, this is a fun episode. I I just love college football so much, and I hope y'all see that in each and every episode. So I always like to say there are no more victories in a sport that survive in advance. That's why college football has the greatest regular season. And until next time, you all take care. Governor of college football, we're going to recap ACC.
Hey, that's
Great
CJ on
defensive
the
minds.
track.
They have to be better on that side of the ball.